Hello, everyone. Welcome into TexAgs Live, presented by Specs. And Matt Browning, why don't you read one of these for Specs? Why don't we go with this one?
If you're looking to set up your cocktail game, get insider info on seasonal releases or order online for same-day delivery. Just go to specsonline.com because the fun starts here.
Reading is hard.
Hey, by the way, this might become my new bit. I love doing this. Hey, fun show.
Stick it. Hey, throw something in front of somebody completely unaware and have them read, who's a slow reader as it is.
Matt Browning, Roy May, and Maria Griglione. All right, friends, favorite part of the show, Griglione.
Mine was Stephen McGee.
He was good.
He was good. He was passionate about all the contracts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I thought it was funny.
And painting Easter eggs, too.
And painting Easter eggs.
Roy May?
It's a coin flip for me. It was between McGee and Zierlein. I really liked you having Zierlein on, but I also really like the fact that McGee just started calling stuff out for what it is.
LZ was really, really good, but I'm going to allow you, Matt Browning. But why do you pick whoever you pick?
Because we're the best show on TexAgs, the fan show.
That's what you picked?
Yeah, I'm big fan show. This is my favorite part.
Pulling a Deion Sanders right there.
Yeah.
Who's going to tell them they didn't make the cut?
And show didn't make the cut.
Yeah, Nick
Sorry.
didn't pick you guys.
Nick, you scoundrel.
They didn't make the cut.
You
But you know who did make
scoundrel.
the cut?
Scallywag.
You scallywag.
You know who made the cut?
Who's
Michael Earley.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, I
Coach
bet.
Earley. Yeah, forgot about that.
Rewind, check it. Kids or student athletes, they're semi-pros at this point, to say the least.
Amen. No, this is
They're
a
not even
disaster.
semi-pros.
Yeah, it's full on pro. We have to have contract. This has gotten out of control. I'm curious your take. I know you're going to have a good take on this Nico Lamaletta guy, Tennessee quarterback.
Nobody can say his name.
Yeah,
I'm
but
believing.
the holdout situation, he's now saying that he wasn't asking for more money. Everything
see-
indicates he's asking
Yeah.
for more money. That's complete BS,
Well, he's going to get less money, so he has to play that
which is
card.
amazing. That was the best thing that ever happened. But if there's holdouts in college football, it's a disaster. Like, because there is no contract back, right?
Right.
And so it is one-sided. College football is going to be, it's going to be a nightmare. And I know that that's tough saying on this show of all places, but like if kids start holding out for more money, we're headed the wrong
Well,
direction.
supposedly he threatened to hold out before
the
the
playoff.
playoff game.
Which is even, I mean,
Which right there would
that's
have
a
been
red flag.
You cut. I mean, you can't cut
Well, you
right
can't
there.
cut him there, but right
That's
there.
off season. You sure do.
Right. And what's funny is I saw I can't remember where I was looking on a bunch of things last night. And I saw guys that say that Nico's dad says it's not about the money. It's about the offense that he needs to be in. And supposedly they wanted Heupel to change his offense. Dad's saying, hey, you need to change your offense. But it's the offense. So they're going to allegedly go to UCLA, which ranked 117th in total offense last year, scored 20 points or less in 10 of their 12 games. And I think they just hired a new offensive coordinator, Tino Sinceri. I don't know if he's been an offensive coordinator or not, but it's not about the money. So whenever they say that, it's about the money. And
1,000%.
by the way, I was watching Outkick. What's that guy? Clay Travis.
Clay Travis, yeah.
And
Love him.
He made a great point. He said, what they'll probably do to save face is they'll say, oh, yeah, we got a $4 million contract from UCLA, but it'll all be incentive laden. Oh, yeah, if you win the national championship for us, you get $2 million. It'll all be so they can save face by saying, oh, it's a $4 million deal.
Can they do that now?
In reality,
Or is that still?
I think you can do whatever you want, honestly. I don't think there are any rules. Coach Earley, as a parent, as a talk show host, I look at the schedule and I'm like, oh, Thursday, I got to kind of rearrange my mind, my thinking, my process for a team. Like, I know you guys are very process driven. How does it kind of change? Does it change anything? Does it feel different? Obviously you have to shift days back, but like, how does that work in preparation, mentally, everything?
Yeah, you just got a little shorter time. I mean, it's when you have like we've had the back-to-back Thursdays, it's not as bad. But when you travel after a midweek game, that changes a couple of things. Like we had, we're getting Gavin Cash and live at bats before we got on the plane. So yeah, it changes things a little bit. But not too much. Not too much. I mean, it's just you got a little less time to scout. You got to stay up a little later, do a little bit more scouting the day of the game, as opposed to when you're playing a Friday, you'd be done on Thursday and just kind of finishing some things up. So nothing too crazy. You make some adjustments with some arms or some catch play, but other than that, I mean, it's not that massive of a change.
Coach, you mentioned Gavin Cash. We saw him pinch hit on Tuesday. Where is he at? What is his availability going to look like this weekend? And then the other housekeeping question is Caden Sorrell and his availability to finally return to playing the outfield.
Yeah, I think there's a chance you could. You'll see them both play, but I think there's a chance you could see them both in the field this weekend, possibly at the same time. So just depending on how, Gavin's a senior, he really wants to play. He's been working really, really hard to get back, and I think he's pretty close. But right now, he's going to be in that pinch hit type of role. Sorrell will be the DH, but every day we're evaluating how they feel. So, it wouldn't surprise me if we possibly saw them in some capacity in the field, at least for a game this weekend. But we'll see how that goes. Just every day is a constant evaluation on those guys, just because we want to make sure we keep them healthy, because they're, with Sorrell playing right now, his value is can't be overstated.
What happened with Nick? How much of it was the production that the entire defensive line really did not put out for Texas A&M?
I think Nick, I'm actually a bigger fan of Nick's than I think the NFL draft is going to be. I think he will go on sometime in early second. But I think teams still like him. They just don't like him as a first necessarily. But it only takes one team. So I think a team to keep an eye on is the Ravens, for example, because he fits the Ravens mold. I watched him, so when I study tape, I'm watching all these reps. And I noticed they sent a lot more. He had to deal with running backs being chipped over to him, with lines being slid his direction, with tight ends being lined up on his side to widen them out, make it a little bit tougher to get off. And I think Nick was maybe a little too finesse in his approach. When you watch him at Purdue, he used power to just cave. It was a combination of moves, but also power. And I think teams kind of took away some of his momentum with the way that they handled him with chips and everything I just talked about. But when you watch him, he's really skilled. He knows what he's doing. He's an instinctive player. He's a good football player. And I think what teams looked at was his production was pretty average relative to what was expected. Then you look at, was he explosive off the snap? Well, he's not going to beat you around the corner really easily. Okay, well, how is he going to rush then? And you start asking these questions, and it's one thing when you're a junior and you produce, or you're a second-year player, depending on if you come out early or not. And then once it's time to actually draft a player, now you got to look at, well, how's he going to win? And how's he going to rush? And how does he hold up? How long are his arms? We need to know, is he a long-arm guy who can get off of blocks and shed people? Because if you're shorter armed, it's harder to shed players. Does he have that upper body power to shed and get rid? Can he range quickly? If he gets, if teams want to run wide on him, can he get wide quickly and close the distance so a running back can't turn the corner? You start asking more questions when it comes draft time. And I think for some people that it's raised maybe some concerns with Nick Scorton, just enough to knock him out of that first round range. But for me, I'm not really worried about it. I think he's a good football player. I saw the Purdue version. I saw the A&M version. He's smart. He's instinctive. He's strong and powerful. I think he's a good player. And I think somebody's going to get a discounted starter in the second round.
For me, I watched them and I had a chance to go practice with them this season, and just watching the way that they communicate with one another, the way that they interact, the way that they hold each other accountable, it really shines through in every aspect. On defense, right? They're constantly giving each other tips. So for me, when I think about the success that I've had in the past with teams that, you just have that it factor. It's never really about specifically the talent or specifically the mindset. It's about all of that being encompassed into the team. And I think you truly see this team shining because of the trust that they have in one another, the trust that they have in the coaching staff, and the trust that they've had in their training. Because we all know that the number one doesn't come down to the spring, right? It comes down to what you did in the fall. How did you prepare? How did you get yourself ready for this moment? And then in the moment, knowing that you've done what you need to do to succeed. Pressure makes diamonds, but pressure only makes diamonds when you believe that you should be there, because at the end of the day, pressure is a privilege. And I think that they're finally realizing that they are in this spot because they deserve it, they earn it, and they should be there, and they can see success.
We had Trisha in studio on Wednesday, and she likes being the hunter And even as the number 1 team in the country, she's looking for little things to keep that mind sharp for her and her players. And one of them is like, a lot of people aren't used to us being this level of program, so we're going to use that for us.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think there's something to be said about being the underdog too, right? Nobody expects you to win. There's nothing, there is no pressure on you because you just play with a little chip on your shoulder, right? And if you win, it's like, oh, cool, they snuck away with one. But now you're expected to win. And how do you handle that, right? But I think they've done a really great job this year as you've slowly seen them, climbing the ranks. A lot of these players were here when Trisha Ford came in. So it was never the talent, right? It came down to the mindset. So knowing that Trisha Ford and company has them in a great mindset, I think that they're going to be fine, whether they're the hunted or the huntee.
All right, Roy May.
What to do?
In an accent, though. Whatever accent you can. Yeah, whatever accent you can come up with. Yeah, like that.
No, we're gonna like, subscribe, comment, post, unfriend Nick for not putting us on.
I agree.
Comment, share, all that good stuff.
Do all that. We'll see you next time. Thank you.